In the depths of Russia's frozen Ural Mountains lies one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of the 20th century. In February of 1959, 9 young hikers set off on what should have been an ordinary winter expedition. They were skilled, intelligent, and well-prepared. But just days into their journey, something went terribly wrong. Their tent was later found, slashed open from the inside. Their belongings untouched. Their bodies scattered across the snow. Some barefoot, some half-dressed, some with injuries so severe they defied explanation. Radiation on their clothing. Strange lights reported in the skies. And questions that have haunted investigators for more than 60 years. This is the chilling story of the Dyatlov Pass Incident. The group was led by Igor Dyatlov, a 23-year-old engineering student at the Ural Polytechnic Institute. Known for his leadership and determination, Dyatlov was the kind of man who could inspire confidence in any expedition. Alongside him were 8 fellow students and recent graduates, bright, adventurous souls in their 20s. They included Zinaida Kolmogorova, remembered as cheerful and strong-willed, Yuri Krivonischenko, the group's joker with the camera always in hand, and Lyudmila Dubinina, deeply serious yet fiercely brave. They weren't amateurs. These were experienced mountaineers, equipped to handle the brutal Russian winter. Their diaries and photographs recovered later showed a group in high spirits, singing songs, taking playful pictures in the snow, full of optimism for the challenge ahead. But what none of them could have known was that their journey would end in terror, on a mountain the local Monsey people ominously called Kholat Syakhl, the Mountain of the Dead. Their trek began in late January. They skied through thick forests and across frozen rivers, steadily climbing toward their goal. The cold was relentless. Temperatures dropped to minus 30 degrees Celsius at night, the wind cutting like knives across their faces. On February 1st, they set up camp on the eastern slope of Kholat Syakhl. It was an odd choice, exposed, windswept, and far harsher than the forest below. Some believe Dyatlov wanted to test the group's resilience. Whatever the reason, it was the last place they were ever seen alive. Back home, families expected a telegram once the hikers returned. The message never came. Days passed. Worry turned into panic. And by February 20th, search parties were dispatched into the mountains. On February 26th, searchers found the hikers' tent. It was half buried in snow. From the outside, it appeared intact, until they noticed it had been slashed open from within. Clothes, boots, axes, and food were still neatly arranged inside, untouched. The hikers had fled without their coats or even their shoes. Even stranger, the footprints leading away from the tent showed no signs of panic. The 9 hikers had walked calmly in a straight line, down toward the woods below. Why would anyone abandon the only source of shelter in sub-zero temperatures? And why cut their way out instead of simply unzipping the entrance? The searchers soon made a grim discovery. At the edge of the forest, beneath a tall cedar tree, lay the first 2 bodies. They were barefoot, dressed only in underwear. The tree above them had broken branches as if they had tried desperately to climb. Beneath them, the remnants of a small fire, a last, futile attempt to survive the freezing night. A short distance away, the body of Igor Dyatlov was found. His hands stretched toward the tent, frozen in a final effort to crawl back to safety. Not far from him lay 2 more, their positions suggesting they too had been trying to return. But the real horror came 2 months later, when the remaining 4 hikers were found in a ravine, buried under 4 meters of snow. Their injuries shocked investigators. One had a fractured skull. 2 others had massive chest trauma, ribs broken as though crushed by an immense force. And in the most haunting detail, one of the women was missing her eyes and her tongue. And yet, their skin showed no cuts, no bruises that could explain such devastating internal damage. It was as though something invisible had crushed them from within. The searchers soon made a grim discovery. Even stranger clues began to surface. Some of the hikers' clothing tested positive for radiation. Witnesses reported seeing glowing orange orbs in the sky near the mountains on the night of the tragedy. And there was the baffling condition of the tent, slashed from the inside, supplies untouched, boots and jackets left behind. Nothing added up. Officially, investigators listed the cause of death as a compelling natural force. But what force exactly? They could not say. In the decades since, dozens of theories have emerged. Some point to an avalanche. Perhaps a small slide panicked the group, forcing them to flee. But the slope was too shallow, and rescuers found no signs of avalanche debris. Others believed the Soviet military was secretly testing weapons in the area, chemical bombs, mines, or even parachute flares. This could explain the glowing lights and radiation. Still others argue for natural causes, a phenomenon known as infrasound, low-frequency vibrations caused by the wind, which can trigger feelings of panic and dread. And of course the paranormal theories, UFO encounters, a Yeti attack, even secret government cover-ups. Each theory tries to explain a mystery that stubbornly resists all answers. But the truth remains buried beneath the snow. More than 60 years later, the Dyatlov Pass incident remains unsolved. 9 young lives cut short, a tent torn open, bodies scattered in the snow, and questions that echo through history. Was it nature? Was it man? Or was it something we cannot explain? One thing is certain: the mountain of the dead still keeps its secrets.